Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of supernatural fantasy and/or science fiction or genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of the 100 as well as the latest episode of the Outpost. Like always, if I'm talking about something you want to listen to, you can always look in the description down below. I include a time when I start talking about each of the respective shows. So, for example, if you want to hear what I had to say about the latest episode of the 100, you can skip to what I had to say about this week's episode of the Outpost. But the first thing I'm going to talk about is this week's episode of the 100, a great episode. So many things going down this episode, so let's break it down bit by bit. First of all, let's focus on the whole what's going down with one crew. You have Octavia struggling with everything that she's going to have to do. I love that she actually goes to Indra, she goes to Bellamy, the two most important people. It's funny that the one person she didn't actually go to was Gaia, because she doesn't have as big of allegiance to Gaia as she does now. It's even sad too, because she goes to Indra is looking for another course of action, because her two advisors, Nathan and the lady, were like, Nathan's like, hey, doesn't matter, like half our army doesn't follow us anymore, doesn't want to follow us just because of whispers about a potential commander being Maddie. So, but it's like, well, we don't need them. Well, what about the worms? Well, we don't need them either. We can still march, which Octavia's like, even with that, it's still not enough. We need the full army. But then you have her advisor being like, well, basically, even though she wouldn't want to kill Bellamy, Gaia, or Indra because she follows the commander, it's like, if Octavia won't give over to the main commander, the only way she can gain back control is by doing what she did in the past 6 years. Kill those who are against one crew. That would kind of still fear in people. Be like, Blood Reina is still in control if you don't abide by her rules. If you are not part of one crew, you're an enemy of one crew. And by killing these traitors, it would just kind of solidify that even more. Especially because it's like, these are three like top people. This is Gaia, Indra, and Bellamy we're talking about here. If she kills them, it's like, yeah, she ain't messing around. She will kill everyone. But like I said, she goes to Indra, and Indra's telling her, like, you have three choices. You either give up the throne to Maddie, you surrender, or you kill all of us and do all this. Because she's like, you already knew that your plan would work about us being in the blood pit. You just wanted reconfirmation because she wanted to come to Indra to find some other option. It's like, no, there is no other option. These are the only ones on the table. But she won't give up the throne. And it's so... And it's almost something that I think it's something, was it Bellamy said it, but it's like that whole affirmation that like she's kind of selfish, because it's like, you could easily end this by not fighting. You could just give up the throne, but she doesn't want to, because I think you can make the argument it's because she lived so much of her life never really having power, and now that she has it, like, she's not letting it go. Because also the person in front of us isn't Octavia anymore. That's Blood Reina. She's talking to Bellamy because she's like, you can't save someone that's already dead, because Bellamy's saying everything he's done, poison or everything, that was to save you from yourself. Like, a real leader would know when to back down. But the fact of the matter is, Octavia is acting like it came up last episode. She's being the leader she needed to be in those 6 years, not the leader she needs to be now. And that's what this whole point of getting Maddie the Flame and everything was supposed to correct, you know? It's just, you know, Bellamy saying that he won't fight, but she's like, everyone will fight. But he's like, you know, because there is some part of him that was still hoping, like, maybe I can still, like, you could tell it was affecting her. Like, everything that they were saying, Monty's like, hey, look at the farm, it's growing. I got this algae, it's going to make everything grow. We don't have to fight for Shallow Valley. Given enough time, we can grow stuff down here, but given a couple years, I could potentially restore the soil on top too, so we can grow stuff there too. It's just, we don't have to fight, you know. He's trying to find a different way around this. But she's like, oh, like, if you want to, you can try and convince Bellamy. But Monty's like, I won't, because it's like, I don't want to be part of more killing. And then she's kind of like, basically, like, Monty and Harper are like, we don't want this to play out the way it is playing out. But the fact is, we don't want to be a part of that, like, the continuous killing. And it's like, it's easy for you to say in Octavia's case, because she's like, you didn't have to fight for 6 years, didn't have to survive, because you're thinking what's going to win this is, you know, a farmer. It's like, no, warriors will win this, you know. It's like I said, Monty gave her an alternative, but she didn't want to listen to it, because because it's hopeful and she has no room for hope. It's like, no, this is what we have. This is all we have, you know? It's even crazy because she was even like, when she talked to Indra about everything, she's like, you were my second in command. Why would you betray me? Like, I was always been happy to be your second. You know, when my people didn't accept me, you accepted me. But it's like, yeah, I accepted Octavia, not Blood Reina. That's who I betrayed. And the same thing for Bellamy, you know? All of them trying to tell her the same thing, but she's not willing to listen. But there was a bit of her that could listen. I was like, I don't know how this is all going to play out. And so she, like, just snaps and becomes fully Blood Reina. I think she probably potentially kills off the last little bit of Octavia in her. And for her, it's not even, because she was like, I'm giving you one last chance, you know, to be a brother, a sister, kind of like, you know, it's because it's crazy, because it's like Indra is, because it's crazy because Indra's like a mother to her, but she never, because she even says, like, telling Bellamy, you'll have to kill Indra. It's like, he's like, do you hear what you're saying? You're telling me to kill Indra, one of the most important people to you. It's like, yeah, but she's not blood like you are. It's like, jeez, man, that's crazy that you're willing to go this far. Like I said, like, because even, like, Bellamy said he can still tell when Octavia's afraid, and that's what this was all, like I said, this is all reactions out of fear of someone challenging her, fear of losing, like, what she's built up and who she's become, because I think she's scared of going back to that girl that needed other people to protect her, the girl beneath the floor who had to hide for so many years. I think she's slightly afraid to go back to being that girl again, but it's like, that girl is not the same girl she used to be. She became the Octavia we've come to know, not this Blood Reina thing. Everything prior to, like, this 6-year time skip, like that Octavia, that's the Octavia people would follow, you know, Sky Ripper Octavia. I guess you could make the argument that Sky Ripper is kind of a little bit in the same lane as Blood Reina, but potentially not as bad, but nevertheless. It's even interesting because Bellamy was like, yeah, it's just a story. So it's like, oh, so like this whole Red Queen thing, it's based on like a story did that come up before, that's where she got all this from? Because it seemed like such an interesting little detail. Maybe that had come up earlier in the series, but it seems like it might be something like she got from one of the books she read when she was younger, and Bellamy's calling her out for it. It's like, this is all just some fake story that you're playing and some fake role you're playing. So that's kind of interesting that this all came from some story, actually. I guess that's where it came from. Like, once again, to be who she needed to be, she had to become someone else. And I guess that was probably like a fierce warrior she saw in a book one time. So she adopted that personality, potentially. I don't know, man. It was kind of crazy. The moment they had to go in a fight, I was like, I don't know who's going to come out of this. Indra's going to kill Bellamy, and then she's going to let Gaia kill her. But Gaia's like, no, I'm going to go after Octavia. And Bellamy was like, I'm not going to fight. And it's like, dude, I don't know which way this is going to go. It's pretty impressive that Bellamy's able to hold his own against Indra. I mean, I wouldn't have expected that, but it's like, yo, Bellamy ain't been slouching these past 6 years. And Indra took her shot at Octavia, but it didn't happen. I was like, dude, this is bad. This is, oh god, how is this going to end? And then lo and behold, Monty starts, I'm like, yeah, him and Harper show up. It's like, yeah. And tells about the algae, and everyone's like, no, we don't have to fight anymore. And people are like, Blood Reina, no more. And she tells Nathan to put his gun down. I'm like, oh god, okay, good. And then she disappears. I'm like, everyone's like, where the hell did Octavia go? She goes and burns everything. I did not see that coming. I'd assume that means that's all the algae that Monty made, because like for him, he doesn't bring it up later on, like, oh, it's like, I guess every bit of algae he had made went into those plants. So when she burned them all, like she burned the algae too, that's all there is. There's no like potential to restoring the, like, not only did she and it's crazy because it's like Octavia doing this is like she removed the choice. It's you either serve me or you stay here and die. It's like, jeez. I mean, I guess in the end, she got what she wanted. She got her full army support, because now everyone else is like, well, now there's no alternative. It's like, wow. Just to maintain her power, she's willing to do that. Screw over their future, because it's like, oh yeah, Shadow Valley's fine and everything, but you could potentially have restored all of this with that algae, but you remove that option. And it's like, that's crazy, dude. It's like Octavia, and it's what Bellamy said himself. Octavia does this, there's no going back. Like, now they have no choice but to fight for Shallow Valley, because there's no potential for like saving her. And like I said, there was a lot of people that are like, oh my god, yeah, because like I said, it gave them hope. Like, probably those who are already on the fence because of the whole commander thing. It's like, oh my God, we don't have to fight. We don't have to worry about Shallow Valley. We don't have to die for some land. Like, we can help restore this one. And it seemed like everyone was on board. I'm sure there's still those who were loyal. Even someone like Nathan. Like, he seems like one of the most loyal because the one that was, who advised, like, oh, we can follow the commander. Like, who tried, the other advisor, who I guess is now taking Indra or Gaia's place as an advisor. But I was like, man, that's crazy. Once again, this season keeps turning and twisting. I'm like, I don't know how this is all going to play out. I mean, the entire army is marching now on Shallow Valley, and it's like I said, Octavia got what she wanted in the end, I guess. But still, dude, that's crazy. You have Indra going off on her own. I don't know if she's going to take other people with her, but she's going to try and find Maddie, because it's like, maybe if she can get Maddie to ensure that their commander stays alive, like, they need to bring her back potentially to kind of rein this whole situation in, because this might be one last attempt to stop this war from happening, because there would be so many people that die, you know, on any side, you know. At least the worms were taken care of. Part of me wonder, I mean, I guess that was for the purpose of showing that they got destroyed, but one that I'm kind of worried that worm thing might come back in some shape or form. I don't know, they focus on, but maybe that was just for the purpose of that. Oh yeah, I mean, they were out there anyway, but still, it's just kind of like, it kind of makes you feel like that might turn into something later on. Maybe not. Maybe that's just for the purpose of like, yep, all the worms are going, just kind of like, oh, limiting Octavia's options and stuff like that. So I am so curious to see like where that angle of everything goes, because Monty and Harper and Bellamy follow. I don't know. I guess Gaia's still going to be keeping an eye on Octavia just for the purposes of, well, in case this whole Maddie situation changes, she needs to ensure that Maddie stays alive. So there's that whole thing. I don't know. We'll see in the end what happens as the army marches forward. Then on the other side of things, lo and behold, you have Maddie and Clark. And Maddie's still like, why are you going? Like, you want to protect me, but you won't do the same thing to the people that are important to you. And it's like, you're my daughter. I'm going to do whatever it takes to protect you. She's like, I'm going to remove the flame and stuff like that. But Maddie doesn't want that. It's even interesting because she gets a vision, like, well, a memory of Becca. I can only assume that's people from Mount Weather, like way back in the day. Because the hazmat suits, it's kind of interesting because she's like, oh, I'm gonna save you, which is like, huh, I didn't know maybe that came up earlier in the seasons, but like, I mean, it wasn't until like season 3 that we found out actually about Becca in the first place, right? So it's kind of interesting. Maybe this season will give us a little more insight on that. I mean, I don't know, because because the whole commander sharing memories things never really came up, because all that stuff was stuff that like Lexa kept to herself. So it's just, I'm curious to see like, what was it? I guess just because it's like she was threatening to change their way of life or something like that. Maybe she's the real reason why they were able to, like, maybe she would, because she was talking about saving their lives and stuff like that. So she might be the one that initially came up with the whole process in which Mount Weather could, you know, taking what they needed from Sky Crew. What their whole plan was in season 2 to take what they needed from Sky Crew to be able to walk on the surface again. Maybe that's what she was doing. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe they felt like they didn't need her anymore. The reason why they did what they did, I have no idea. Like I said, it was way back in the day. So, like I said, I don't remember that coming up, but maybe that will in some shape or form. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just kind of a one-off thing that maybe will get explained. Maybe it already got explained and I just don't remember. But nevertheless, that's pretty interesting. Because Maddie understands why Clark doesn't want her to have flame, because it's like, yeah, because the last person who had the flame for her was Lexa. And once again, it's like, because it came up before, because Bellamy brought it up like last episode. It's like, well, then what were you doing before? You were trying to give it to Luna. You were even going to take it upon yourself. Why is it given to Maddie so different? Because it's about giving it to someone she loves. Luna, she didn't care what happened to Luna. Like, whatever fate befell Luna kind of is for the greater good of everyone, and she didn't care about Luna. Herself, if she has to sacrifice herself for people, who cares? She doesn't care. But it's Maddie. It's someone she loves, because she already had to watch someone she loved, Lexa, die because of the whole commander position. And that's what she doesn't want to happen to Maddie, because things do not end well for any commander, as we kind of saw with Becca. Things didn't end well for her. Things didn't end well for Lexa. So for her, it's like she's trying to protect the person she loves. And that's also why she won't destroy the flame either, because by destroying the flame, she's destroying the little bit that's left of Lexa. Whatever is left of Lexa is in that, and destroying it would be like killing all that's left of her, and Clark couldn't bring herself to do that. That's her main reason for not just destroying it, even though she wants to protect Maddie from it. So she's like, fine, you can keep it in there, but if you try and challenge Octavia, I will rip it right out of you. So, because all the previous commanders are kind of showing her what she needs to see, I guess, to prepare her to become the commander she needs to be for this situation, you know? That with this position comes a lot of pain and sacrifice, and that's to kind of harden her and steady her, you know, in preparation for it all. All while, you know, Clark is trying to head towards Dioza to try and like work things out. Because that's something Maddie brought up. It's like, you're just going to let the war happen. It's like, no, she's going to find another way to stop it. But that gets complicated when she finds out about the whole situation about, oh yeah, McCreary's the one that's in control right now. So, and I love that line between him and Abby, because Abby won't help him. But he's like, oh, who's sick? Whose disease is going to get them first? Will mine kill me before before your addiction kind of kicks in? Because she's going through withdrawal. Abby's going through withdrawal right now. And I was like, oh, that was kind of a beautifully put line. It's like, I don't know. I kind of feel like Abby will kind of crack beforehand, but she didn't. To prevent herself from doing it, she gets help from Vincent, which is like, ugh. And, Vincent doing what he did. Did they ever mention, like, we know that Vincent killed people and collected trophies. I don't think, did they bring up the whole potential cannibalism thing? Because he like bit into dudes. It looked like he was legitimately going to start eating them, and he had no problems with it. I'm like, I don't know, I feel like you could have easily just like snapped their necks or something like that. I mean, I guess biting them is effective too, but it's like, the fact is, that's kind of like your go-to thing. Part of me is like, you must be kind of on that cannibalism or something like that for you, that to kind of be your first move. So that's interesting. So he's telling Abby to eat up the pills and he'll kind of dispose of the bodies, which is kind of interesting. And then, really quickly, I thought that was kind of a powerful moment too, is the fact is that Clark has a gun on a dude, and then Maddie, because like there were her people in a ditch, and she slit the dude's throat. And then like Clark's like looking at her, and she's like, a gunshot would have made too much noise. It's a common, it makes you wonder what Maddie is that. Is that Maddie getting memories from the commander? It's like, no, these were my people you hurt, so I killed you to make a point. Or is this her going after what Clark did at the beginning of this season when she started killing them all? Like when she killed that one dude earlier in the season, being like, no, like there are no such thing as good guys, like this is all about survival. So that's like, even though the guy was being nice and trying to help, like Clark still killed him anyway. So it makes you wonder, is it one or is it a combination of the reason why Maddie did what she did? So, and then they find Abby unconscious because it seems like she overdosed, like I guess to compensate for the fact is because her body was yearning for her, I guess she just like overcompensated and just kind of like overdose, which is now Clark's finding out about her mom's situation, and it's like, that's kind of a terrible way to find out about it. Would have found out about it anyway. But this was kind of her compromise, her way to kind of get what she needed without helping McCreary, because it's like, he doesn't have that much time left. As long as, I guess, as she feels, if she can last long enough, she can make sure that he dies first, and then because she knows that if she helps him, he's going to be around long enough to kill and hurt other people. So this is her way of kind of mitigating the damage. It's kind of interesting because we didn't cut to any of Dioza or the factors like Kane or Murphy or the others like at all this episode. So it's kind of interesting. Maybe we'll pick up with them next episode, but it's going to be interesting to see what they are all about. I guess like if she's fast enough, I'd assume like Maddie and Clark can get Abby out of there in time, which was kind of screw McCreary and his people over if they don't have the doc to cure them. So there's that whole thing. So they do have an ally in Vincent, which is going to be interesting when that happens and when they potentially meet. Well, like I said, I'm so interested to see what the next episode has in store for us, because we are definitely got to be closing in on the end of the season. I'd assume this season's 13 episodes, but I don't actually know for sure. So ultimately, like I said, we'll wait and see what ultimately happens. I'm very interested to see what the next episode has in store for us. And now moving on to this week's episode of The Outpost, a great episode. There is a lot we end up learning about in this episode. So let's break everything down bit by bit. Obviously, we find out that the person who saved her Talon last episode turns out it's actually the blacksmith. And at first I'm like, and then he starts bringing up all the stuff about the prophecy and stuff, the black blood prophecy. Tripped on my own tongue there. Nevertheless, at first I was like, oh, so is that proof that you are the wolf because you know so much about them and stuff? But then lines later on kind of make it go, oh, okay, you're definitely the wolf, because he talks about the fact is years ago, a miracle, he witnessed it and it changed his perspective on everything. That's why he spent all this time learning about all of this stuff. So he doesn't tell her what it is. She says that she's in town looking for the wolf and then she'll leave after she kills him. And the look on his face is like, yep, without a doubt, you're the wolf. Because I guess it's because me being ageist, because I'm like, there's no way he's the wolf. Just because I figured like being as skilled as the wolf is. But I mean, I guess that shouldn't mean jack diddly squat. But the fact of the matter is, I think it's also because he was so open last episode. I was like someone like the wolf wouldn't expose himself like that. But I guess it's like, you know, maybe you can make the argument, once again, me being ageist. Maybe it's just me being like, oh man, he's so old. It's like, I'm such an idiot. But it's like, of course he's got to be the wolf. And that's what this is all about. The question is, did he know at least a little bit about the prophecy beforehand? Because it's like, I mean, I guess being able to do what she did, even without the knowledge, is still impressive. Summoning a thing, which we learn more about it. Because basically the Black Blood prophecy is all about like Black Blood summoning the slayer of men to kill the oppressors of old. Basically, it's kind of like she will lead a revolution that will change the world, essentially. Because the thing she ends up summoning is called a Lakiri, which we finally get a full look at the thing, and it's, whoa, that thing looks crazy. Kind of got like, it almost looks like it's got like a scorpion tail on its back, but it looks like they're made of bone and they're blades. I'm like, it's got a pretty neat design, because like last episode, we only saw its arm, we got it in full body, and then she tells it to go away and it just leaves. Because she read the spell out loud rather than just kind of saying in her head like she was supposed to. And it seems like she can put it away. She just first has to track it down and put it away. The question is, where is it going? Like, where did it go? Because she needs to track that thing down. I'm assuming that, I'm curious, is that the only one of it? It can't be the only one of its kind. To be fair, he did say Slayer. He didn't. I mean, not unless I misheard him, but it didn't sound like he said Slayers. So, I mean, there might be more than one. I mean, if there are, could she summon it, or can you only have a bond with one of them at a time? Or maybe it is the last of its. I mean, that might be a bond between them. She's the last of her people, and it's the last of its creatures. Because it seems like the Black Bloods have had a long connection with these things, because they're the only ones that the Black Bloods stand in between both this world and the Lakiri's world. So it's just kind of interesting, because like I said, because Talon's mom talked about the fact is that they made an oath not to summon it. So, you know, because this is all about the Prime Order, in particular the dude running things, Dread. I guess because he knew he was coming into power. I guess it's almost kind of like that whole Oedipus like situation where it's like, oh yeah, like because of this legend that was foretold long ago, you decide to try and fight fate, and by in doing so, you might kind of create fate in the first place, type of thing. Like, that's what I'm kind of getting from this, at least what's kind of been set up already, you know, which is very fascinating. Yeah, Jonzo finding out about her situation and he's covering up for her and everything. And it's kind of interesting because it seems like he's kind of a bit of a gentle soul, because for him, it's like he knows that killing leads to more killing. But the fact of the matter is, he doesn't want her to get in trouble because he cares about her. And he's an alchemist and everything too. He's pretty good because he heals up her wounds to the point like the scars are very faded at this point. She won't even need bandages anymore. It's like, yo, he's pretty dope. He's not just some regular brewer. And he tries to clean up the blood, but Withers ends up finding out. You know what? It wasn't until last, like, sitting here thinking about it now, like, I didn't, because I was like, I didn't know what to kind of compare this to. It's like, I'm an idiot. The best thing to compare this to would be Merlin. Like, it kind of has like a similar feel and aesthetic to it. It's like, yeah, which if you've never seen the TV show Merlin, I highly recommend you check it out. Like, especially if you're a fan of this, like, a similar kind of aesthetic and feel to it would be that show. But nevertheless, it's kind of interesting that there's other subplots kind of starting up too, because there's what I assume is the same drug that Talon was taking as well as Kel was, the Calypsum, because it seems like Eleanor, who runs the bar, she's trying to do that while also, like, you know, it's like the dude that's giving it to her is like cheating her out of some money because he's raising his prices, but he's like, oh, I'm the only one that'll help you out. If you do anything, I'll cut you off if you start, talking too much or something, which is kind of interesting. Like I said, just got a little subplot, but I'm curious to see what that ends up turning into. Withers, captures Talon after she kicks some ass and proves that, like, obviously you're the one that killed Magmore. So he's going to, and it's kind of interesting because it does seem like everything he is doing is because it's the law. Like, it does seem like he is legitimately a lawman. Yes, he's a douche about it, but it is him upholding the law of, like, but for him, it's like he's not willing to listen to any other circumstances because he's willing to execute Talon now, because it's like, hey, you killed someone, no matter what the circumstances may have been, vengeance or whatever, but you killed him, so it's up to me to kind of dish out justice. But it seems like because initially he was going to give her to Sunlight, but he changed his mind the moment Garrett started getting involved, because it also seems like Garrett pulled rank, which I was like, I did not know Garrett was above you in rank, because he even talks about Garrett coming back to the outpost. So it's like, what I guess it's because now, like, maybe they had their issues before, but now Garrett's back in a higher position, within this whole order and everything. So the fact that he outranks his dad's got to be pretty upsetting. But the moment Garrett kind of stared him down and left about, like, oh, we'll see, because Garrett challenged his authority, he went and tried to execute her. Like I said, he's following the law and everything, but he's being a dick about it. Like, he moved everything up just to spite Garrett, because it's like, oh, he sees that on some level she cares about this person, so he's trying to execute her even, faster, which is, like I said, dick move. And she explains everything. She even explained everything to Garrett because he wanted to know why she did what she did. Apparently, which Garrett's kind of okay with that anyway. In the long scheme of things, it seems like obviously this whole thing is about a resistance. Like I guess pretty much last episode, Gwen's got to be someone from the old monarchy of how things were running. She's like royalty. And so this is all about some taking back that world, because obviously the person he serves under, the commander, her father, it's like, oh, they're trying to build up a resistance first, deal with this grayscale thing, sure, but then eventually amass an army large enough to go after the Prime Order themselves and kind of restore the world to the previous order, which is so interesting to me that that ends up being the case, which it plays a big role later on. Obviously, Gwen comes to help and she gives her word and her bond to stop the execution, but it's not enough because, once again, because he's kind of a dick and he's all about he doesn't want anyone challenging his authority. He tries to go through the execution. Got Garrett doing that badass thing of throwing a sword to stop the guillotine. I was like, that's pretty sick. And then it comes before her father, and then there's a back and forth and everything of it doesn't mean anything. But then Gwen does something. She commands her dad to let Talon go. And I'm like, and even Withers is like, you're listening to your daughter? You letting her command you? I'm like, okay. So at first I was like, okay, so that's got to be one of two things. One, it's because she has the authority to, because she is the next in line to inherit the potential throne. Like I said, they're called royals, but I don't know. I'd assume it's a monarchy, but nevertheless. So maybe that's what it is, because she's a rightful heir. She has the potential and power, so he's not no claim to the throne, which kind of ties into what my second thought is. So it's all kind of one thing, because I'm thinking her mom was the last royal, her dad married into it. So potentially, maybe, or at the very least, maybe he's from a different kingdom or a different realm or something. Because that's the only way I feel like he could get ruled by her. Not less. Well, another thought I had potentially could be that's not really her dad. He's just fake being her dad to kind of explain away a lot of stuff. That really he's maybe more so like a guard, much like Garrett. Because it's kind of interesting. The reason why I bring all that up is because when he kind of saw Garrett, it was, well, he did still kind of refer to her as his daughter, even in closing. So I still think it's probably more so she has claim to the throne with this whole royalty situation. Like I said, if it is a monarchy, she's a princess, potential queen. Maybe he's only king by marriage. Her mom was the previous ruler, before everything. I'd assume her mom is dead just because she's not really in the picture. So maybe that's what that is. Or maybe the dad never was king anyway. Maybe because the fact is that he's telling Garrett, it's like, you can't be with her. It doesn't matter what she wants, what I want. Hell, it doesn't matter what you want. Because it's like, I guess it's a situation that when she gets back her power, she needs to be in a position. She can't be hooking up with one of someone of lower rank. She either has to marry a king from another realm or something like that. She has to marry someone on equal status, as a queen, or maybe there's a lot more complexity to it. Like I said, we don't really know all the details about it, but I think this just solidifies what I already thought about Gwen, that she does have authority. This is all about the royals. So Talon can fit into this easily because I thought that's what Garrett would kind of try and say for anyway, because obviously he kind of cares about her and likes her. I mean, obviously he cares about Gwen, which is going to turn into an interesting thing because also there's the whole Jonzo kind of having a thing for Talon too, and it's just kind of like, wow, you're already mixing things up already. Because Garrett doesn't want to take those steps with Gwen anyway, because he's like, with Magmore dead, like, things have changed. I don't think it's because that means she's closer and closer to taking her rightful position as royal, and that complicate things between them, even though Gwen has feelings for him and he obviously has feelings for her. But nevertheless, but the thing is, Talon wants to bring down the Prime Order, which kind of benefits her because apparently it seems like the head of all of this, Dread, is the one that's kind of behind her whole village being executed. Plus, this will lead her to be able to find the other people involved, because this will make it so that it's probably a lot easier to track them down, because especially because she's looking for the person at the top, and if she can take down the Prime Order, that, I mean, it's kind of two birds with one stone. So potentially they could end up joining forces together too, especially because Withers mentions it, because he's trying to figure out what this whole thing is about. He realizes she's black blood and stuff like that, but he's like, oh, I see that you have black blood, but he doesn't know what it means. He didn't know what it meant that Magmore was like, oh, what's this message? I guess to pretend, because even Withers is trying to take advantage of this situation, because even he didn't want Dread and the Prime Order to kind of snoop around here, because like I said, this is his reign, this is where he reigns supreme, this is my territory, I don't want no one meddling with it, is why he's kind of getting all pissy about everything, even more so. And so I think, because he wrote a letter and sent it, like about one remaining, but he's pretending to be Magmore and sending it to Dread because he doesn't want him to know about Magmore being dead yet. So he's at least pretending that he's still alive. So that's one less issue, because just as much as the others don't want the Prime Order come around here snooping, that's why the commander was kind of like, yeah, dude, it's best for us. Magmore sucked in him. He was an asshole. He was a pig. So it's kind of like, yeah, he dies. We're kind of all better off without him. The last thing we need is more people around here snooping. It works for all of us. It's kind of what, he's applying, which is, like I said, just fascinating all in itself. So I'm really curious to see what Withers has up his sleeve when it's all said and done, just because it's like, he isn't going to take this lying down because he's kind of being forced to do something he doesn't want. So I'm very interested to see what that kind of turns into going forward. He's probably going to be kind of resistance, because it seems like, I mean, obviously the show being named what it is, it seems like most of it's going to take place out of the Outpost. I guess that's going to be kind of like the center zone of everything, dealing with the Grayskins, which we still don't know what that's all about, like how that came to be, why there's kind of a war between them anyway. Like I said, maybe they're just kind of a creatures that just naturally hate humans and stuff like that. Maybe it runs back further. Once again, like so far we've been introduced to 3 different types: humans, the Black Bloods, which I said seem very kind of elf-like, and then you have the Grayskins. Beyond that, well, and we also have the Plaguelings, because we have no idea where the hell that really came from. So, which I feel so bad for that dude Kells, because I brought that up last episode. I'm like, isn't he infected? But it seemed like he was hiding it from everyone. I was like, the way he showed up in this episode, he was looking like crap. I was like, you're infected, aren't you? And it's like, yeah, you is. Maybe he didn't realize, like, maybe he thought as long as it didn't go in his mouth that he was okay. Maybe he didn't realize, like, getting bit there, or maybe he was consciously hiding it because he wasn't telling anyone, like, what really happened. So I guess he was hiding it. Maybe he was hoping, or maybe he didn't know, like, how fast it spread, because Garrett learns when he goes talk to some about the new orders that were being held out, because they need to gather more men to fight. Like, obviously this isn't just about the Grayskins, it's about obviously the fight against the Prime Order, but like Garrett's kind of against it, because it's like, well, these are a lot of untrained people, but Talon has proven herself, so he'd be more likely to be like, oh, I need her by my side in this whole situation, like she'll be a great asset and help with the whole thing, secretly not knowing about the whole like Lakiri situation, which once again, like, where the hell did that thing run off to? I'm very interested to find out more about that thing. Like, what is it capable of? Is it easy to kill one of those things or not? Like, how their whole deal ends up being, And also about the blacksmith, which like I said, we know is potentially the wolf. Like I said, there's still some part of me that was kind of wondering if it could be Jonzo, that this could be like a red herring, but I'm like, no, it's definitely got to be him, just like the way he's been acting and knowing what he knows, because no one else in his realm knows about Black Bloods. The only ones who potentially would know about them. Well, I mean, to be fair, he did a lot of studying, because initially he didn't know none of them knew why they were wiping out this village. It's like, oh, we just got to wipe them out. Like, I guess they knew the bare minimum, and that was about it. Because it seems like Magmore got a powerful position in the Prime, like the Covenant. So I'm assuming like the others did as well. But I guess seeing what he saw and being who he is, the wolf chose otherwise. It's like, why blacksmith though? I guess because for him, he's been waiting this entire time, all these 13 years after his studies, waiting for Talon because he knew she was still alive because of it. He made sure that she stayed alive. Like I said, a very great episode. It's definitely going to be interesting going forward because, like, obviously, this whole situation is, like, unbeknownst to Withers, because of his message, it is going to bring the Prime Order. That's not what he wanted, but it will, because the moment Dredd reads that message, he'll have no choice but to come because he'll want to ensure the Black Blood's destruction personally. So, unbeknownst to him, he's doing exactly what he didn't want to do in the first place. Hence why he wanted to keep it quiet about Magmore's death in the first place. But nevertheless, like I said, I'm very interested to see what the next episode has in store for us with all of this as it continues forward. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. To the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good